Ladies and gentlemen, 1 week today, my method goes live. Exciting times. Thank you so much for your help and support. I just want you to have a quick look at a snippet from the actual school, from the fundamentals and mechanics of alternate picking section, where I go over a bit of a light bulb moment in my journey to this technique. And I hope you enjoy. So yeah, this time next week goes live. Make sure you all come and have a look and join me. Come on. Thank you very much. Okay, right, we're really getting into it now. So, like I said previously, if you've watched all the lead-up videos and the basic mechanics here, I was a very frustrated young man who wanted to pick fast, and I was just having such problems and tensing and stressing all over the place. And then there was a specific moment, there's a couple of moments actually, this is where it all changed and kind of it fell into place for me and clicked, if you like. Again, I always use Paul Gilbert as a reference. He talks about how he literally tried doing some sort of, he thinks it was an Aldi Meola thing or something, and everyone knows he has his signature sort of phrase. That little 3 notes, and then he always says he made an entire career when he was in Racer X, literally playing that one sequence just all over the place. And again, for me, I would be trying that phrase, for example. I'll just tell you what it is. Again, not that you have to follow along here at any point, but using frets 4, 5, 7 on the D string, and then the 4th on the G. And again, alternate, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now, my problem is I would be playing this. Well, first of all, I'd watch Paul Gilbert and he'd be going. And he'd be so relaxed, wouldn't he? Going, yeah, just start out straight. And then gradually speed up. And you just watch his hand go through this kind of, it looks a bit kind of clunky at first. And then he'd meet this kind of crossover point. I call it the sticking point, if any of you powerlifters and weightlifters out there. But you'd watch his hand, and it all of a sudden, once he'd reach a certain speed, it seemed to be, it'd be totally like, it's amazing to watch. You know, like when you watch the fast car, and the wheels are spinning, and then eventually it does this weird kind of going backwards thing and relax it. And it was the same thing. He'd just, all of a sudden, magically kind of start moving a lot faster, and it'd just look a beautiful, like a thing of art. Used to do my head in, because I'd try and do that. Do my head in, British phrase. Irritate myself. I'd try it, and I couldn't do it. Now, I'll show you why, because I would be playing like this. Oh, God, he's making me. That's giving me anxiety thinking back to when I was 14. I'd sit there trying to do it, and I could just not get anywhere. And it was so upsetting and frustrating. Probably a lot of you will relate with this. And the problem, I didn't really know, because I was doing everything I was told. I'm doing that one with a down, I'm doing an up, and I'm crossing over and all this. But again, as you'll have seen if you've gone through the mechanics, my hand position and everything, I was anchoring myself to the guitar a bit too much. I'd have my palm down here because I thought I had to for muting and all that. And I'd be causing myself sticking points here where I just couldn't. But the most important thing is I didn't realize it at the time. I was making like over-exaggerated movements to get a down and an up. And it brought me on to the moment. I just couldn't do it. And I wanted it badly, and I just couldn't do it. And it would upset me. But I'd keep trying. But I didn't realize I was literally, I was just bashing my head against a brick wall, thinking, because all the advice I'd get, start slow and speed up and you'll get there. And I'm like, not if your mechanics are totally wrong. I just wasn't going to. I am limited with a certain amount of movement and musculature, whatever, some sort of things that are holding me back there. Oh my God, it still makes me feel sick thinking of that. Now, my life changed when I I can't remember. I wish I could, because I'd give you the like. There's probably a YouTube link, but it was James Hetfield. Would you believe? You'd think he's not an alternate picker, but it was James Hetfield changed my life because of a particular part of a Metallica song called Damage and Corporate. I know you all know it, and I know you'll probably think it's this part. And it's not that part. It was the little part in the middle, just before the solo, where you've got this. Something like that, anyway. But what happened there was I was watching his hand from the front, and it looked like he was just doing this. That's what I was seeing, but you were getting... And again, I remember seeing another one, off the Black album. Doesn't matter which one it is, but you'll know it. And it's that very fast gallop. And it just, I looked at him, I'm like, he's just doing downstrokes. And it occurred to me, and I remember being very proud of myself here, because it wasn't, I wasn't instructed. I kind of discovered it myself. Listen to me, like I feel like I discovered something here. But it is true. I remember just seeing it and going, what the... And what it is, again, I apologise to anyone who's like, I already know all this. This is my method. I don't apologise for going right back to the basic rudiments, because everything that I've achieved is developed from this little core fundamental, and that is basically the double downstroke and incorporating the naturally occurring upstroke. So the fact of the matter is, if I was to do 2 downstrokes, I obviously have to physically make an upstroke motion to perform the next down. And that changed my life. I was like, oh my God. Because all it is, coming back to that perfect angle like we talk about, angle of the pick, angle of the arm, I still remember the moment sitting there and literally just doing downstrokes. And all I did, and I relaxed, and I got that downstroke, and then I just dug in with the pick. And it's just all of a sudden like magic happened. And it is literally this. I'll just show you. Now, I know at first, I honestly, at the time, I got the musical horn, should we say. I was just so in love with it. I was like, oh my God, I can do it. And out of nowhere, I started just going, thinking, wow. And I still think I did some awful sacrilege stuff where I just started moving my fingers around, convinced I could play fast, just going... Probably doing that kind of thing. Tremolo picking, you know what I mean? But the fact is, all of a sudden, I was picking fast, because before I was going, not joking, I would have tried to play that going like... Oh God, I can still see that tenseness there. That is giving me severe flashbacks of being in my room in Southport in the loft. You know, just sweating, trying to do dip, and I couldn't do it, and I was going... Yeah, just sitting there trying to go... I think, again, I wanted to play like Prowler or something by Iron Maiden, or just some sort of gallop, and I just couldn't. I was going... And even that, movement with the fingers, and it just wasn't happening. And because of that, just that little connection, light bulb thing. And I was like, oh my God, I've done it. I can do it. But then obviously, not quite as simple as that, is it? It does take a lot more work to develop everything else. But that is the core fundamental. is the actual crossing over of the string, and then you develop it into actually crossing to another string on an upstroke, on a downstroke, string skipping again. But the motion and the movement is the same. It's that exact, wherever it works for you, bearing in mind the future limitations, if you anchor yourself or whatever, it just, you make your own decision. Not everyone has to do all the hybrid picking or the sweep picking. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's up to you. I'm just saying, if you adopt this kind of angle, you can unlock all the other stuff in the future if you want to. So it is literally that moment, and just trying to think to myself, it is literally just, I'm just keeping doing downstrokes. So again, from the top here, very useful angle up here where you can see my hand, it is literally getting that downstroke. So starting out any string, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is you do have to practice every single string, because again, I learned that early on. Just because I could go, I'd try and do it on the top string and it wouldn't work, because I'd go like this. Way! And then if I was just down here, I'd go, oh, it's not working, what's going on? So my first major problem I had there was, again, my bad habit of being sort of anchoring myself here. Oh, this is good, I can do this. But then once I start trying to go to other strings, I'm just turning my hand, which again forces the pick to angle another way, and it just doesn't work. You just get this weird sort of sound here. So again, my hand is a floating wrist with a little bit of contact with the little finger, which you will notice down here if you look at my poor Telecaster. Look at the state of that. I've actually got a completely worn area here, and that will, I've only had it a few years, but that will eventually wear into a hole, because I do just have the little finger. It's not anchored, it's a singular point of contact, just so I can feel where I am. And then with my palm, I have it just here, right by the saddles on the bridge, and whenever I want to, I literally just have it at the perfect point that I can just either move it over slightly to give you that muted sound, or I can lift up and clamp down. And that's the first thing there, was I used to just sit and just practice just the singular note, singular string, just getting those sounds. And then if I was to just try and move down, again, don't worry about this too much. This is, in the actual exercises section, if you like. I don't like exercise, but you know what I mean, effective practice playing. But right now, if I was to just move and do that on every string, you'll see my arm goes with it. And it's the same no matter what. I'm stuck in the one place and do that. I adapt and I follow the pick, the point of the pick, the angle of the pick. I want it the same on every string, so I move my arm with it. So if we just watch now. Seems easy, but it's not. It's a track. It's a bitch. It takes ages. But that is the first thing, is really, I'm kind of was programming in that kind of alternate picking through just thinking of it as downstrokes and digging in, and then pushing the speed, and then allowing myself to come back and then relax. So you have to generate the motion first and then learn to manipulate it. And that's what we'll talk about shortly, where it is actually where does the motion come from? Very, very important. Again, takes a long time, but that's where it all changed for me. Another thing, I'll just tell you quickly, I have mentioned it before, there was a guy, Key Marcello, there's a part in a solo on a Europe album, and he literally just played a scale, and it was something like this, where he just did, again, groups of 6. And that was the first thing I kind of applied it to. I tried a scale, a 3-note per string scale, and just did the same thing where I tried to break it down and think of it as movement. But that's where we're going to look at it as studying a single string, combinations, synchronizing your left hand, and then moving it into crossing into a next string, 2 strings, then 3, then 4. Very, very methodical. But that's how it is. It didn't happen naturally, easily overnight or in a 3-day course. It's a long time. Cold hard truth, ladies and gentlemen, but you can do it. And you just engage that simple little principle. And again, if you just watch me now, I'll just do some sort of playing. But you watch my right hand, especially from this very useful angle that you'll kind of look at when you're playing yourself, you'll notice it's frustrating because it looks easy. And it is if you do it non-stop for 10 years. But you'll see that the principles, it is literally the same movement. These little jumps and changes of angle we will get to. They call it pick slanting nowadays, don't they? I never even heard of that. I just again learned it over the years through trial and error, and my ear picked it out a lot of the time. We'll talk about that. But just have a look at this, and you'll notice that same thing, that angle of the pick. Looks easy. It isn't. It takes a long time. But again, that's the principle there.